It's Sunday. It's January 25th, 2026. And you're all watching Roasting the Press. My name's Chuck Black. I'm here with Richard Gagnon. Richard, you look very relaxed. How you doing?
Oh, I'm comfortable right here where I'm at, and I'm looking at some blue skies and the sun reflecting off the clouds. Um, it's really quite nice now. The temperature is cold. It's
Yes.
still below zero, but in the next few days it's going to be above zero. So that means that we're going to start getting spring.
I'm exceptionally jealous. As you know, I'm in Northern Ontario. Northern Ontario, pretty much every place between downtown Toronto, which is in the south of Ontario, and I think Thunder Bay is in a deep freeze where it's like 10, 20, 25 below right now. So I'm envious where you are. You look pretty relaxed.
Oh yeah, but I'm running low on firewood, people. So
So it's a little bit cold where you are too, huh?
oh yeah, I got to run the fireplace every day for most of the day.
We
But
are doing that here. We have electrical heat, but my significant other rather enjoys how wood feels.
well, I do
It's a
have
very
electrical heat. I have a little fan going here. It's on low, but at least it keeps some coolness here, so my fingers don't get too cold to run the mouse and the keyboard.
You look like you're relaxing. Do you have things you have to do on Sunday, or is that generally a day of rest?
Well, Sunday I always go shopping for groceries, so that's this morning I left at 7:30,
Hmm.
and I got back. It was about 12 or so.
You said it was a really enjoyable trip, didn't you?
Oh yeah, the Forestry Service Road is nice and smooth now.
Oh wow.
They've been grading it, but when that temperature goes up, those potholes are going to show up again, and it won't be so nice anymore.
You want to move into our first piece of the night?
Yep, sure.
It's a good one. We start off tonight with X, Elon Musk's social media platform. And we're going to focus primarily on a comment relating to Canada that started trending earlier in the week. And that comment is the January 21st, 2026 Cosmin Desertas, I hope I pronounced that correctly, on X post under the title, "My American friend need to realize that Canadians are subject to a near constant stream of North Korean level leader worship and propaganda, courtesy of the media monopoly that exists primarily to launder, amplify, and protect the Liberal Party of Canada and its interests." Now, to make his point, the Cosman adds graphics from two stories: the January 21st CTV News Post under the title, "Best Speech by a World Leader in a Very Long Time. Carney's Davos Address Draws Global Attention." Cosman also referenced the January 21st, 2026 Toronto Star Post under the title, "Mark Carney's Davos speech is a manifesto of free people. Here's what else the world is saying." These are both very, very favorable shows. Very, very favorable presentations, and Carney should be proud of the return on investment his money from Heritage Canada is getting from the legacy media. It's also worth noting that Cosman's post has 570 comments, 2,300 reposts, and 8,200 likes. Essentially, everyone liked it. There's a lot of follow-ups to the post. They included this January 21st, 2026 comment from Liz Churchill, who notes that it's true and it's terrible. Both our Liberal and Conservative parties are severely compromised. We don't have opposition here, as they're all owned by China and the cartels. It's really sad to see how brainwashed people are. In order for this country to survive, the uniparty must go. There's also the January 21st comment from Patriotism and Perseverance, a nice name, I appreciate, which notes Heritage Minister Mark Miller's belief that the major component of CBC's role is to ensure social cohesion. Unfortunately, that post also suggests that not everybody is accepting the government's messaging, and we need more social cohesion. Maybe they'll demand it through censorship. There is also in this list on X, there's a graphic showing Chat GPT and its belief, as posted by someone called IR the same day, January 21st, that the top 5 Canadian disinformation spreaders are conservative Canadian politicians and activists. And I can't help but note that Pierre Poilievre is the top disinformation expert, according to Chat GPT. Leslyn Lewis, a conservative MP, is the second worst. Randy Hillier, a provincial MPP, who was turfed from the Conservative caucus, I guess 5 years ago now. He is considered to be a major disinformation expert. Danielle Smith, the current premier of Alberta, at least Chat GPT is going after all the big leaders. And someone named Theron Fleury, who is a former NHL player and currently a Conservative Party political activist. Now, I don't know. That sounds like propaganda. I go on to note that Claire Voyant, in her January 22nd post, thinks that legacy media outlets who disagree with the CBC are the problem, especially if they're owned by American hedge funds. But others, like People's Party of Canada activist Paulus Laffin, notes that the Canadian government funds almost everyone, just so long as they mostly support the Liberal government. So there's nobody who's not funded by the government, unless you look at our Freedom Forum list of top independent journalists and media outlets for 2026. That went out a couple of weeks back. We got some really good feedback from it. But these guys all live within a silo. And I also note others who are in this silo. These are, again, as I said, these are comments from the best speech by a world leader post from My Americans Friends, the guy we talked about before. They are all in the same list. They are all done within a day or so of each other. And there's also Zed Alevine, which notes that only boomers in cognitive decline consume your media. I think that means the legacy media. The rest of us watch clips analyzed and laughed at by independent journalists. And I'm glad. To me, that means that Zelda is watching this program, but you can never be sure. As the thread grew from 100 to 200 to 500 to whatever it's at now, many began to start to blame the, there we go. No, let's go back a little bit. They blame the Communist Chinese and the World Economic Forum. The graphics in the post are particularly interesting. You saw that one already. But I also kind of like this graphic here and this graphic here. These are all from the Blame the Communist Chinese and WEF people. They've got some good graphics. And Life Lovers, which is another poster on X in the thread, his January 21st X post. Oops, too fast. I missed. Anyway, it's Life Lovers posted on January 21st under the title Robert Malone Nails It. And I sort of think he said it best. He blamed the fascists. Here we go.
I'm going to say a couple of words that are pretty loaded. Been Benito Mussolini, who actually knew something about fascism, defined it as the alliance between basically a socialist government and industry. What you're experiencing is totalitarian socialism aligned with big business. I'm sorry, it is the definition, according to Benito Mussolini, of fascism. It's not that the right is fascist. Fascism never comes from the right. It comes from the left. It comes from socialism. And speaking as somebody from down south, what we see is a totalitarian socialist takeover of Canada.
I don't know, Richard. That's a pretty dense piece. Did any of it make any sense to you?
Well, we are basically in that particular situation. There's nothing that we can do about it because these idiots that think that they're in control of people are going to keep on selling that to the mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
And the people just have to basically turn away from their mainstream media, which is what has happened, and go watch the news from, like the comment was earlier, the independents.
Yeah, I remember the piece we did about 2 weeks ago now. It referenced the Reuters piece that said the top 20 media personalities in Canada, 13 of them are Americans, 2 of them are politicians, Donald Trump and Justin Trudeau, and the rest are all Canadian new media personalities. None of the legacy media personalities made the list.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, we're already there. To me, that means everybody up here is sort of in a silo all by themselves. It's that they don't really know how the universe has passed them by.
Right. Yeah. We have to make sure that the information doesn't get taken over by the mainstream media. Mainstream media's mandate right now is to make sure that the history is written the way that the WEF wants it, the way that their leaders want it. And we're sitting down here saying, that's not the history that's going to be written. We're going to make sure that the history is recorded correctly as an independent.
I find that interesting based on, I don't want to go right into it immediately, but our next piece tonight is all about the residential schools, right?
Okay, yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. just so you know, you were prescient there for a moment.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I'm also mildly amused that they're talking about this on X, and they say X is biased, X is bad, X is Elon Musk, and X is not subject to the rule of law. The European Union keeps trying to fine Musk, and doing all sorts of bad things to him. But the talk these days comes from X.
Yep, absolutely. X. I mean, that's all that, and those are basically independents.
Yeah.
And they're all short stories. They're not the full. They don't go into extensive detail, but they cover everything that's important for the people to know.
Yeah, there's a lot of dumb stuff in X too.
Oh, there is.
Yeah, there's dumb stuff in everything. One thing I particularly like about X is they have 2 tabs for Canadian stories. One is for new media stories, and one is for legacy media stories. And the stories are entirely different. It's hard to believe they're following the same country.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Here, let me see if I can pull up something for you. Give me a second here.
Yeah,
I want to pull up X.
Comment. I can't download stuff from X as easily as I'd like it to be, so I don't use X stuff too much.
I have I understand. X is particularly tough if you're linking to outside sources or if you want to download to outside sources. But I just let me see if I can do this. I just want to include just a quick page here just to show what X is like. Let me go to the main page. If I go up to here, you note that there's a thing for Canadian news here.
Oh, okay.
You can download the Pleb. Linda Steele, I don't know. Pleb. Spencer Fernando, he's also on our list. Epoch Times, that's on our list as well. It's just on the American list coming on the next couple of weeks. CTV News, not on the list, but it's Legacy Media. Sheila Gunn Reid. But if you go to the second one under Canadian news, you got the Toronto Sun, you got the Star, you got CTV News, and almost all of them have less views than the new media outlets that everyone's tracking on the other Canadian news page.
Right.
And I find that to be modestly interesting because somebody had to set that up intentionally.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've talked to the people on the phone with X, and I want to know how to get on the good Canadian news feed. And they say that in order to do that, I have to stop referencing our shows on Substack.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they don't want anybody to leave their platform. It's easier to monetize if everybody stays there.
Right.
And I mentioned that we were posting on YouTube tonight, and they said, no, YouTube's not good enough either. It's got to be. I figure that in the future we're going to make graphics, and we're gonna have the link in the graphic so people can find it.
Right.
But they won't be canceled from the bot. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. Yeah. So they're basically kind of trying to control where you're streaming, where you're putting your information, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I've been getting some casual encouragement. Every once in a while, I put on a written story because my background is in print journalism.
Right.
And they don't like it if I post something on Substack, but they like it if I post something on X.
Okay.
And I've got a mid-level account on X, and I pay $10 or $20 a month to get access to this feature, and that's what they want you to do. They don't want you to drive people to Substack or drive people to YouTube, which I think is kind of interesting.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, is there any solution for all these people that focus so heavily on the legacy media?
Well, other than going up to him with a baseball bat and hitting him on the side of the head to wake him up.
You're so mean. Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to. Those who are still believing the legacy media,
Yeah.
I think they're still lost. But once they wake up, I have a feeling they're just going to, they're going to go crazy, and they're going to say, "I've been lied to by these jerks. CTV lies, CBC lies, CNN lies." Well, CNN is just about not worthwhile anymore.
Yeah. They argue that they reference subject matter experts, mostly people who work for government. And because of that, they don't lie. They just take quotes from people who lie.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's interesting is on my stories, I'll take those stories too, and I'll play them out because I want to give those an opportunity to get out there too.
Yes.
I'm not going to solely go after all the positive Trump stories. I'm also going to go after all the other ones, the deep state stories, where they're trying to show that they're doing the right thing, especially with the stuff that's happening in Minnesota right now.
And I find that interesting. The deep state never used to need to justify itself. And I'm going to talk about that a little more. I hope you are too, but we're going to talk about that a little more on our Tuesday show.
Yep.
But the deep state seems so keen on justifying itself right now.
That's because they've lost, and they have to try and get back what they claim to be their credibility.
Mm-hmm.
and that's
If they
not
don't gain back at least a bit of their credibility over
they're
time,
losing.
they will lose a lot of money.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're losing it like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
So it's the deep state comprises of the CIA, the Democrats right now, because they went to the dark side, and the George Soros of the world, the billionaires of the world that can control things. They provide the deep state with money.
Yeah. Or sometimes the deep state provides them with money. Didn't Elon Musk go on the air about a week or so ago and say that he figured about 10% of every government dollar is absconded with?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
I sort of think it's right too. If I had to guess, I'd say it's higher here in Canada because there's been so many overt public scandals here.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know what to say. But it is interesting to see the deep state, the WEF, the United Nations, so keen on justifying itself.
Yeah, I love the way that the events occurred at the WEF. Um, Trump wanted to get rid of the WEF, and he did a pretty good job, but he got pissed off at Carney because Carney was giving the WEF a positive view to the world, and of course that defeated what Trump was trying to do, which is why Trump pulled out his invitation to the peace board.
I got to ask an obvious question. You said Carney is doing what Carney has to do before we started the show.
Yep.
What does that mean?
That means that he needs to stand up into the world to basically try and sideline this Trump agenda to take over, to make Canada the 51st state. He's basically making things public to the world. And I think he's also divulging more stuff than he should be, because I think Trump's really pissed off at him. I get that feeling anyways.
Who knows how this is going to end?
Well, it's not going to end for a long time, but how this particular act is going to finish off in this script, I don't know. Yeah. We'll have to wait and see.
Fair enough. Shall we go on to our next piece?
Yep.
You're looking forward to this one. This is all about residential schools being back in the news. Now, according to our Canadian Encyclopedia and their post on the topic, residential schools were government-sponsored institutions aimed at assimilating Indigenous children into Euro-Canadian culture. This caused significant harm and disruption to Indigenous communities, and everybody agrees with that. But the largest, most horrifying component of the story was the hundreds of mass children's graves, which were expected to be found on land once used by residential schools, but never seem to have actually been found. They've certainly never been confirmed, although ground-penetrating radar has made quite substantial suggestions about it, but nobody really wants to dig in those areas. And 2 weeks ago, as outlined in the January 14th Post Media, their news stories, Crown Indigenous Relations Ministry ordered to release files on children's graves. Now, according to that post, Federal Information Commissioner Carolyn Maynard has asked the Crown Indigenous Relations Ministry to start releasing files on purported children's graves at an Indian residential school, and to do so within the next 30 days. And this is a 2-week-old piece. That gives them maybe another 15 days to do this. Now, the report initially came out in Blacklock's Reporter, and it says that Minister Rebecca Alti's department was cited on Tuesday, which was January 13th, for breaching an act of Parliament essentially concealing records on the alleged graves. Now, the department must respond to the request without further delay, Maynard wrote, and the First Nations tribe of Kamloops, BC, most closely involved in this situation, announced 4 years ago that they had discovered what they claimed were 215 graves in an orchard near a residential school, but no attempt was ever made to recover any skeletal remains and confirm that the graves were small Native children attached to the residential school. So nobody knows for sure. Now, the First Nations got money to do this. They got $12.1 million in funding for exhumation of remains and forensic DNA testing. And as a condition of funding, they were required to submit regular activity progress reports. Now, Alti's department on December 15th attempted to seal all the reports sought by Blacklock's under a Freedom of Information request as confidential information. So they didn't want to release the information they collected over the last 4 years, 5 years, and after having spent $12 million. And for more on this story, I defer to this piece right here. The January 24th, Dan Dix on X post, Zero bodies, millions spent, file sealed. Until today, the reckoning begins. Here we go.
The Canadian government has just been ordered to release secret files on the so-called residential school mass graves hoax. This one's been buried for years, but the truth is finally starting to claw its way out. Canadian government ordered to release files on residential school mass graves. Back in 2021, the, not gonna try to pronounce it, First Nation, announced that they found 215 graves at the old Kamloops residential schools using ground penetrating radar, with no excavation and no bodies, just anomalies in the dirt. But the media ran with the unproven claims that these were mass graves. Justin Trudeau called the whole residential school system a genocide. Every single party jumped on board and the outrage was instant. Flags dropped to half-mast for months. Over 120 churches went up in flames, vandalized and desecrated, all ignited by radar blips. Were there ground-penetrating radar anomalies? Yes, but are there actual graves with dead kids? No. Fast forward 4 years, and there's still zero bodies. Zero mass graves confirmed, with zero excavations turning up what was promised. I've been calling this a hoax since the very beginning, starting with this video in June of 2021. The truth about residential school mass graves. It wasn't genocide. It amplifies the war on Christianity. Hundreds of bodies of Indigenous children have recently been, quote, discovered, end quote. Without any digging, both metaphorically or literally, the Canadian government and the MSM have labeled this a case of genocide, and the implications have many turning their hatred towards Christians in today's world. Well, now the truth is finally coming to the surface. That First Nation got $12 million in taxpayer money to start digging, and they were supposed to file regular activity progress reports. Well, the Ministry of Indigenous Relations tried to seal them shut, claiming that they were too busy and too overworked. They even breached the Access to Information Act to hide it. But now, The Information Commissioner of Canada, Carolyn Maynard, just slammed the Ministry of Crown Indigenous Relations and ordered them to release 576 pages of secret files. These are the activity progress reports from the First Nations so-called Missing Children's Program, the same group that kicked off this whole nightmare back in 2021. Why would they hide progress reports on a so-called genocide investigation that never produced a single body? Why seal files after declaring national shame and handing out millions? I'll tell you why. It's because the narrative is crumbling and the government doesn't want you seeing the receipts. No bodies, no mass graves, just radar blips, endless funding, and now forced transparency. This was never about healing. It's about a narrative pushed without evidence, used to demonize the church, divide the country, and justify massive spending. There's been no parliamentary inquiry and no real investigation, just a story that fueled arson and outrage while the truth stayed buried. But thankfully, now the files are finally coming. But you gotta ask yourself, what else are they hiding? And how deep does this deception go? Canadians deserve the truth, not more lies and more cover-ups. If you haven't seen my video report that I released yesterday, titled Campus Chaos, No Bodies, No Graves, Just Police Misconduct, this is what happened at UBC. In this video, I gave a chronological breakdown of everything that happened yesterday at UBC, proving the point that if the facts were on the side of the protesters, they would debate instead of act like thugs. Well, now the files are coming. So watch closely, my friends, because when they drop, a lot of people in high places are going to have some serious explaining to do. Please share this video far and wide, my friends, and let's keep this momentum going, because the cover-up is crumbling and the reckoning is here. Make sure you subscribe to me if you're new here.
I can't help but note that as outlined in the November 6th, 2025 National Post story, criminalizing, downplaying residential schools won't help. There have been several recent attempts by members of the government to say any skepticism over the mass grave story is hate speech. The sort of things we need to be arrested for. Richard, what do you think?
Yeah, sure. Call it hate speech. Why not? I hate that, but that's what they do.
It's obvious propaganda from the government. They had a narrative they wanted to pass along. And to be fair, the NDP, the Conservatives, they went along with that narrative.
Yes, they did. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it was 2021 or something like that.
Yeah.
I was dealing with that a guy who was really pushing that residential graves, mass graves in Kamloops.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposedly a pastor, but turned out he was an idiot. So I got rid of all of his videos I had posted online, but I still have the masters here.
Yeah.
The guy, his script was really pushing this narrative about the ground predating, the GPR,
Mm-hmm.
showing the graves.
Yeah.
But there was nothing there, and of course he was pushing that. I don't know what he's doing now, but I think he's pushing something to do with the climate change now. I don't know.
So he obviously wraps himself around these narratives, and that's the content he puts out. That's
right. Yeah. And of course he wanted to do a show on Not TV. I gave him the platform and all that stuff just to try it out, and then one day he just went nuts, so I took him off.
Ouch! It looks like he quit first before you took him off.
Well, the way that he was presenting himself, like I told him, I said, this is a trial thing with Not TV. Try it out.
Yeah.
And if it works out, then you can subscribe and become a member of this and
Hmm.
start making money off of it. But then, of course, he took that as he was going to be charged, and he thought that I was reneging on a promise which I never made. But
Hmm.
anyway, he was a he was a nutcase, and he's still doing shows. So I just
I,
don't
yeah, you go.
I just don't bother following him anymore. So
I would hate to tar everybody with the same brush. Uh, but I want to know what do you think is going to happen in 2 weeks when this documentation finally comes out? Do you think it'll be procrastinated? Do you think it'll show there's bodies underneath these underneath the ground,
will
or do you think
the
it'll be aliens?
documentation really come out in 2 weeks?
Yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards.
Yeah. What are they going to hide?
I think I don't know. I read a bit of documentation into it. I think the $12 million and other grants for similar things on other First Nation land. These are grants that go into a black box known as Native communities, and nobody has any idea of how any of this comes out,
Exactly.
whether or not it's turned into athletic facilities or if it's for cigarette running or what it turns into.
Yeah, we don't know for sure. And there's going to be all that money. That's just something that somebody said that we got to investigate this. So the government says, okay, well, here's some money. Go and investigate it.
Yeah.
Nothing came of it, but hey.
It just, the thing that sits in my craw is that it's been used to demonize independent commentators.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Not just you and I, but I know a number of them that have been in trouble, have been deplatformed, and Bill C9 goes out on the books. Maybe it'll become hate speech. Maybe we'll all be arrested if we talk about it.
Yeah, we'll try and do that. But, of course, there's I sent you another video which we'll talk about on Tuesday. I'm sure if you have a chance to look at it.
But give us an overview right now. We'll talk about it more.
It basically this American, or he's down in California. I don't know if he's American, but he's down in California, and he basically back in September did this interview, and it's an hour long, but everything that happened with Greenland, with WEF in the last month or so, bang on. He was talking about it back then, and he was saying Canada's in deep doo-doo. If you can get out of there, and I'm sitting there, but no, I don't. I think I'll stay here and fight.
And 4 months ago, he was a conspiracy theorist.
No, he wasn't a conspiracy theorist. He was just basically doing what he does, and that's to talk about what could be deemed as a future. So, really, that's to me that made more sense.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that on Tuesday because you'll have to look at the video.
Absolutely. Any more comments on the
on the Grays
situation here? Yeah. Residential schools.
I really don't think much is going to happen. I'm kind of pissed off at all the stuff that has happened with the residential schools. They forced the renaming of the Langevin Bridge because Langevin was somebody who was dealing with the Indians as far as they were concerned, residential schools and all that stuff. They're basically changing history. That's what they're trying to do. So
yeah, I've noticed Dundas Square in Toronto, Ryerson Polytechnic have been named different things, and a whole bunch of streets downtown Toronto have all changed.
Yeah. So, anyways, I really am cautious about this residential school stuff. Let's just make it go away. Let's finish the discussions on it and say, okay, it's been settled, it's done. You've gotten these bridges renamed, you've had these buildings renamed, you've had these other things because of the fact that the people that they were named after were residential school supporters.
Hmm.
But residential schools occurred, and these people were involved. Why do you want to just take them down?
Yeah, I agree. I don't doubt that. I'm not sure I like belonging to a culture that trucked me away to a school system that spent most of its existence trying to take away my culture. So,
Right.
so I understand there are problems there,
Yeah.
but the
I'm
dead
working,
bodies in residential schools are problematic.
and you know that's not a big deal anymore as far as I'm concerned, because I'm more concerned about the Muslims and the Jews that are trying to change our culture.
Now that's interesting. You're suggesting that this is a sideshow.
Yep. Well, actually, it's been around for a long time for a sideshow. But the thing is that I believe that we have all this other issue now that we have to
Hmm.
deal with. And I don't care if you call me a racist or whatever, but I know that the Muslims and the Jews are in this country to take over this country with their cults.
That's another one of those things where I really wish you were wrong, but damn it, the evidence suggests otherwise.
I know, but we got. Of course, we have to talk about it. We have to let people know.
Yes.
We can't just let it. Oh, okay, well, we won't worry about it. Anybody who comes up to me and says, "Oh, don't worry about that," and I'm sitting there. Yes, I worry about it because of the fact that it's happening.
It is. It
So,
is. Shall we go on to our next piece?
sure. What do we got here?
We've got Mongo Minds on BitChute. An emergency room physician just revealed that since President Trump took office, something happened.
Yeah.
You want to run it?
Yeah, it's not too long a piece, I don't think, so we can talk about it after.
Okay.
I will tell you something that I haven't said publicly yet, and it deserves to be said. We were seeing 10 to 12 overdoses a day, and we are seeing maybe one or two. Sometimes we go 3 days without seeing an overdose of fentanyl. So closing our borders and doing the things that he is doing, I am 100% behind. It really has made America better in the healthcare system, in the war against drugs.
Is it being replaced by any sort of drug? Are you seeing more of another sort of overdose? Is there some, like, because I'm thinking, the cartel isn't just going to give up, right? So is there a drug that they're able to get to the streets easier now that the border's closed and he's blowing up ships? So what are you seeing?
Well, methamphetamines is always easier to make here.
Yeah.
And we have seen maybe a slight increase in methamphetamines, but the significant drop in fentanyl overdoses is the most significant thing.
There you go.
I didn't know about that. Continue.
Yeah, no, it's Trump is doing the right thing. He's basically blowing up those drug dealers that are trying to get drugs into this continent here. But he's actually doing the right thing, and he's terminating all of those drug dealers without having to spend the money going to court.
I understand that he's actually started firing on drug boats.
Oh yeah, well he's been doing that for a while.
Yeah, no, I understand completely, and I understand that my personal experience with drug running comes from watching episodes of Miami Vice in the 1980s. But
yeah,
even back then, it was well understood that the drug runners set up their factories and their facilities on foreign soil, and the only dangerous part of their job was sneaking it into the United States or Canada, wherever it was supposed to go.
Exactly. That was all that stuff that you saw on TV. That's what's happening right now. It's just that now Trump has got the military out flying over top of them and blowing them up in the sea, in the ocean. So they don't have an opportunity to even negotiate because they don't deserve to have that opportunity. They're drug dealers, and now I'm waiting for Pfizer and J&J to get the same thing.
I have heard that a lot of the drug money is laundered through Canada. Are we going to be in trouble for that over time?
I haven't seen any major stories on that. I know Trump tried to get that going,
Yeah.
Really tried.
I've seen stories through Dan Cooper. The Legacy doesn't want to talk about it.
Right.
And I think we mentioned it. We called it the, what do we call it? We called it the Vancouver thing a couple of weeks back about you don't really need a lot of documentation or anything to buy property in Vancouver. So it's really easy to launder money through Vancouver housing markets.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you're talking about the real estate stuff. I don't know
Yeah.
what the paperwork is in BC.
Me neither. I don't live in BC. I don't know what their paperwork is.
I live here, but I don't bother paying attention to anything because that paperwork doesn't apply to me.
You're not much for paperwork, I see.
No, anything that's if somebody says I got to register something, no thanks.
Yeah, but I know Trump has blamed Canada for the fentanyl crisis in the past, and just it does make sense to me reading people like Dan Cooper that a lot of the money is laundered through the BC housing market and more recently through the Toronto housing market. So we could be considered part of the drug problem in the U.S.
Well, that's interesting, and I tend to agree with you on that because one of the things at the beginning of the year there is Trump was trying to tell the people of the world that we were a major portion of that problem.
Yeah.
And of course, by trying to make us look like we're dealing drugs a lot here, we start to fall into the Venezuela category. So is he going to come after Carney to basically put him on trial for selling drugs to the Americans or allowing drugs to be sold to the Americans? I don't know.
I don't know. You and I have talked about this before. I think public figures should be responsible for their malfeasance. I just hope that Trump would start with domestic terrorists first.
Yes.
I think he'd be in a lot of trouble if he kidnapped the head of the Prime Minister of the UK or the Prime Minister of Canada or even Macron in France. I think he'd be in a lot of trouble because these guys, no matter how tied to the WEF they actually are perceived in some circles as being democratic representatives of our government.
Well, yeah, the democracy thing I don't fall into. I don't appreciate anymore.
We're not officially democracy here. I give you that.
I know.
The Americans were never officially democracy. They're a constitutional republic, I think it is.
That's how they're supposed to be, yeah. But that's not what the WEF and those people who are trying to control the world want them to be.
No, the WEF are looking at stakeholder democracy, essentially large property owners, rich people, mining maggots, trucking, and I don't know, waterways, kings that the W said that they can effectively support them, and you go.
And of course, guess what?
What? What, Richard? Did you freeze on me? Now I'll never know what you were going to say. We are doing so well tonight.
Oops.
There you go.
We're back?
Yeah, we're back. What were you about to say? Right
well,
after you said what?
Well, UNDRIP is exactly that.
Yeah.
So UNDRIP is basically taking over all this land and making it do what they want it to do.
Yeah. They're being protected by stories like the residential schools. I mean, they've had such a bad day. We shouldn't hold them accountable for anything that goes on. We should give them back all their land, even the land that they legitimately ceded to us by treaty.
Right. Yeah, and I've done a couple of stories on the treaty stuff too, which is a lot of people, when they read the treaty, they read the word control or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's not the word that was in the treaty. It was consult.
Okay.
And so when I did that story, I thought, okay, well, these people who are talking about the treaties are lying.
Hmm.
They're changing the words of the treaty.
Yeah, I can see that's what propaganda does. Yeah, the best
Yeah,
propaganda is mostly truth, but you change a couple of the words to get your point across.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, don't buy into the treaty nonsense either.
That I understand. Shall we wind up? Shall we learn about what
Sure.
you're doing for the next couple of days?
Let's see. Today is Sunday, so that means I'm doing a show Monday and Tuesday in the mornings, and then both of
Hmm.
those are done and ready to go. And then we're doing another show on Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday evening.
8 p.m. my time.
Yeah, 5 p.m. my time.
Ah,
And it'll still be a little bit light out, as a matter of fact, at 5 p.m. Believe it or
oh,
not.
wow, you'll have a better complexion than me then.
It's just tiny bit. It'll still be dark, but I'll be able to see the outline of the trees. And then on Wednesday, I'm taking off. And then Thursday, Friday, I'll be doing my morning shows.
Hmm.
And then I'll be looking on Friday. I'll be looking for the shows that will play on Roasting the Press on Sunday and last
Hmm.
week today on Tuesday.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm going to be busy, and I've got a lot of shows to look at. There are a lot of stories I've been pulling down lately, but
There's so much to talk about. There's so much to parse and to
yeah, yeah. But
connect
this
the
week's
dots
shows
with.
have been selected, so
Yeah.
they've been. I just have to finish editing Thursday and Friday shows,
Hmm.
and then I'll be
Good
ready
then.
to.
You do it better than me. I do my writing all at the last minute or the last day or something. It drives me nuts. It makes my hair turn gray.
Well, I watch all these stories, and I basically put them into my queue, and I say this is worthy of showing, and I've got 8 stories that I can do in a day, so
Mhm.
I go through them. But I'm not writing the stories. I'm letting the people who have written the stories tell their stories.
That's a little different for me. That's why you're good to have around because I come into this with a bit of an editorial perspective.
Right. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and I don't
But
go into that editorial perspective at all because
yeah,
everybody else has done these stories. They spent the time researching it and presenting it. Is it true or not? Well, I let people decide that for themselves.
and maybe that's the best way to do it. Who knows?
Well, that's not what the Bill C9 or whatever is going to try and do. They're going to try and shut me down. But,
And nobody's going to try and shut you down. I've suggested that might happen in the future for both of us. If you keep saying no, no one's going to shut me down.
okay.
Ah, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific time
No,
on the
no,
channels listed on the screen. Yes?
no. 7:30 a.m.
Oh, 7:30 a.m. I'm sorry.
Pacific time.
See, I can't even conceive of 7:30 a.m., especially Pacific.
Well, that's because you're already at 10:30 by that point in time.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, as for Freedom Forum, we normally record every Sunday night at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on a variety of internet platforms, including the one you're watching now. We republish next day with show notes. Oops, where'd it go? On our Substack page at chuckblack.substack.com, and most of our stuff slides behind a paywall after a month online. So if you'd like to maintain access, the easiest thing to do is sign up for a monthly subscription. Nobody's signed up for a while. I'd really like it if somebody would sign up tonight.
Yeah.
20 bucks Canadian per month, 160 bucks per year. Cheap, well spent, keeps us able to compete with the giant $1.5 billion CBCs. Well worth the price. And we also have a Substack app to help you access Freedom Forum stories from your phone and subscriber chat so you can tell us what you really, really want. Now, my name's Chuck Black. I directed this show using StreamYards, which I think both Richard and I recommend, but only if you sign up using one of our links, either Richard's link or my link. We get a little bonus out of this at the end of each month to help defray at least some of our costs and help us so we don't have to eat macaroni every night. That's all for tonight. Richard, did I miss anything?
No, actually, that was really good. You always get the script is always good.
I always start off a little stuttery at the beginning, and I sometimes miss words. It comes from writing this stuff right at the last minute and then reading it off the screen. Maybe I'm as bad as some of those talking heads on legacy media. I'm hoping I'm not, but maybe, just maybe. Anyway, that's all for tonight.
Yep.
Richard, I will see you in a couple days. Always a pleasure. I had fun tonight. How about you?
Yep, I did, and I'm still enjoying the daylight here.
Now you're gloating. I hate you now. Good night, Richard. I'll see you in a couple days.
Okay.